Hello, welcome to The Turn, the show where we turn the tables on popular debates. Tonight we will be examining the intricacies of the categorization of common food items. Joining me is Cledus, a proponent of liberal and open interpretation on food categorization.
It's actually Cledus, and you know that's the only liberal I'll ever be. High five! Roll Tide.
And finally, Dr. Doral Goopert, a notable linguist and advocate for strict interpretation on food categories.
Right, I'm glad to be here. I'm missing my wife's open heart surgery for this, but hopefully the debate goes well.
Well, rest assured, Dr. Gupta, we will have an excellent discussion.
We appreciate your sacrifice. I am your host, Eric Woolworth. So let's go on and turn these tables. My first question begins with an opening statement. Doctor, would you like to go ahead and go first?
I could actually go first, if you don't mind speaking my piece. Food, it's an art form. That's what people need to, realize. Food is in the eye of the, ready for this, food holder, right? It's not up to a certain, definition or program like the government wants it to be. It's an art form. Food can be anything. You can mold it, shape it, eat it, do whatever you want with it. It's basically whatever you want it to be, and it's that diversion that the government wants to create that's separating us to where we are today. And I think it's important to understand where the roots came from food, and how beautiful it can be.
That's absolutely fascinating. Any sort of, your turn.
Yeah, right. Okay, wow. Well, I don't really understand the majority of what you just said out loud with your mouth, but I will say that definitions have been increasingly losing their meaning in the last few hundred years. I mean, the way that we use slang and colloquialisms, we're destroying the meanings of words. And if we just go around calling foods whatever we want to call them because they have similar characteristics, then we're going to destroy all meaning whatsoever. And I think that's very dangerous for our culture as the way that it exists now.
That's a fair point. And thank you both for your opening comments. Now, let's begin with our first question. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Who would like to go first?
You know what? I'll let you go first this time. The kind soul I am.
Right. Thank you. Well, I don't think that hot dogs are sandwiches because, the International Council of Sausages and Hot Dogs have classified a hot dog as its own individual item. And if you're just going to lump it all in with the rest of sandwiches, that would mean that anything that you put bread on is a sandwich. And I don't think that's fairly true. Is buttered toast a sandwich? Is, avocado toast a sandwich? Is open face a sandwich? I just don't think it's very fair.
That's where you get it wrong, Dr. Booger. You gotta understand. Look, I go to my local Subway.
I'm sorry, are you playing with a tennis ball right now?
One of them fushigis.
Wait.
I call it a fushigi.
Fushigi's like the early 2000s glass balls where they would play with them on TV and they would look like they were floating.
No, never heard of those. This is just tennis ball. Anyways, I go to my local Subway, right? I ask them, I say, I want a meatball marinara, right? Foot long. Is that a sandwich to you? At that point, you got to think. It's got the ingredients. It's between two pieces of bread. It's got all the necessary components. It's a work of art. And then at that point, you got to just add a hot dog, remove the meatball, remove the marinara. What's the difference?
Cledus does bring up an interesting point.
Does
the hinge of the sandwich matter, or does it have to be two completely separate pieces of bread?
I don't think that that's the thing that defines what a hot dog is. I think that a hot dog is the individual casing meat unit that you're inserting into your mouth. And by saying that a meatball sub is comparable to a hot dog, that's blasphemy. Meatballs are their own individual thing, and a meatball sub is its own existing identity. If you were to call it a hot dog sandwich, then maybe I could see it working out for you in your favor, but this is ridiculous.
Dr. Booger, look,
it's
listen.
not Dr. Booger, it's Dr. Goopert. It's a family name. My dad's name was Steve Goopert. He was also a linguistics expert, but he died 2 years ago, and I'm really sad about it. So could you please not disrespect my family name?
Goopsie, I promise you, I will not. But you got to understand it. You can eat it both ways. So I believe what you're trying to say is you eat a sandwich like a PB&J. You hold it a certain way. But the problem is you can hold a hot dog a certain way. Put a hot dog like this and you can bite it like corn on the cob, right? Would that make it a sandwich at that point? Is it the bite or is it the sustenance of said food?
You bring up interesting points, but unfortunately we have to move on. And it's time to move on to our next question, which is cereal a soup?
You actually mentioned soup. I see some broth right there. You mind if I take a spin at it?
I actually do mind. Please keep your filthy hands off the
No,
broth.
just go ahead and take it. Are you good?
Okay, so let's go on and start with Dr. Goopert. What is your stance on whether cereal is a soup or not?
Okay, well, the idea that cereal is a soup is just preposterous. Wait. What?
You guys were out. Thought I'd back up.
Yeah, okay, well, cereal's not a soup because there has to be a cooking process when you're making soup. I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, there is gazpacho, but gazpacho is gazpacho, not soup. It's an abomination to the soup culture and to God, which I'm not religious, but if I did believe in God, then I would say that was an abomination to God. And I don't understand. You're drinking Cheerios with water right now.
That's broth.
Okay, it's broth. Okay, great. It's not a soup. It's preposterous to call it that.
Now, you mentioned God, and it is my God-given right to eat anything like a soup. And it's not just that, it has the qualities of a soup. You look at this right here, see a piece of it right here. This is soup right here. You have the ingredients. It hot or cold. Gazpacho was cold. You mentioned it before. I tuned out after that because the soup is delicious. If I had a spoon, I could eat it like a soup without the case. It tastes like a soup. It has the liquid qualities like a soup. I mean, I don't see it. And look, it's got the little stuff right at the bottom. I mean, come on now.
But Cledus, do you think that the process of, say, cooking or heating up any sort of substance factors into whether or not the distinction between soup and cereal? Because that you clearly did not heat up anything. You did not cook any sort of meat or tomatoes or, wow, that's disgusting. Does that not factor in at all in anything?
I would if I cared. You know what I'm saying? I would if, it's all about the state of nature in today's society. You got to think, many students are not able to access these kind of ingredients of heat and properties. And to say that this isn't a soup, to these livelihoods that they have, this is what I eat probably 4 times a day. Not kidding. Wake up, I eat. Take a nap, wake up again, I eat. Go fishing, eat while I'm fishing. And that's just at 11 a.m. I mean, who knows what I'm doing in the afternoon? At this point, it's...
I don't want to know what you do in the afternoon, personally. But that is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. I mean, if you heated it up, you have Cheerios in your pouch.
Right, because you didn't have
Cheerios.
any. You guys were out.
Okay, right.
No, it's all up. Again, it's art. This is art. By God. And it's good. That's the most important thing. If it's good, it's soup. I don't care what anyone says.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've come down to our last question of the night. This is arguably the most polarizing of one of them all. Cledus, Dr. Goopert, are you ready?
Sure.
I'm really depressed right now, but let's keep going. Yeah.
Let's power through. Is a Pop-Tart a ravioli?
What
Yes.
the hell?
Yes, it is.
No.
Excellent question.
Fine, go ahead. I want to hear your explanation. Tell me why a Pop-Tart is a ravioli.
You're thinking of it the wrong way. You think that you can just put in some spaghetti Pop-Tart mix and you think that's disgusting and an abomination, right? First off, it's art, so wrong. Second off, you got to think of it as the definition. It is an outside crust with a filling on the inside. Now, what is a Pop-Tart? The same thing as a ravioli. It's got filling on the inside.
Okay,
I just had peanut butter and jelly Pop-Tarts.
No, this is
Dr.
ridiculous.
Booger, I am speaking.
Oh my God, it's Dr. Goopert. Remember my dead dad.
Dr. Gupta, I just have to say, it is preposterous to even think that you can't think that a ravioli and a Pop-Tart are not the same thing.
Raviolis use eggs and flour to make their outside. This is made out of confectionery sugar and processed materials, and in the inside there's fruit. I mean, Pop-Tarts even tweeted that raviolis or Pop-Tarts are not raviolis. They tweeted about it. They said that Pop-Tarts are not raviolis.
Well, Hitler said he wouldn't invade Poland, yet he did. And that's the whole point you got to get across. That's what the government is trying to make us do. They're trying to diverge us away from all of these art forms. It's a renaissance. It's a renaissance.
Cledus, we had a poll that was conducted by renowned pollster at Shelby on Twitter. You should give her a follow. Very interesting person. 53% of the respondents do not believe ravioli is a Pop-Tart. What do you believe? What do you think about that?
Hey, it ain't about the popular vote. I mean, hey, Trump won without the popular vote. You know what I'm saying? At this point, it's all about the country is divided. I will say that, Dr. Booger, in the sense of they don't know what is right and what is wrong. Just because a poll says that it is wrong, does it truly mean it's wrong? I mean,
I would say yes. The general consensus that something is horrible means that something is horrible and incorrect.
your definition of horrible is incorrect.
He does bring it up an interesting argument. Do you believe that humans are technically ravioli because we are our insides?
What?
They're up to
No,
98.6.
humans are not raviolis.
Hear me out.
This is ridiculous.
For sure.
You can't
Absolutely.
just everything is not everything and nothing is not nothing.
Hey,
you can't
take a chill.
say that they're
Take
the
a
same
chill
thing.
pill.
I don't
Take
wanna
a chill
chill.
pill.
I'm tired of this. What are we talking about? This is ridiculous. My wife is getting her chest cut open and a heart touched, and this is happening in front of me right now.
Listen here, doctor.
Listen, we're both making sacrifices. At this point, I would usually be duck hunting.
I'm sure your wife would, I know she would probably maybe want you at this surgery, but she will want nothing more than for you to be here to represent
Thank you.
the important views on these very controversial topics. So back to my point. So would we technically be a Pop-Tart because we have an outer layer, like a skin, like the dough, and then we have the insides that are warmed and heated by our body temperature? Maybe you could take that loose interpretation like Cledus is taking, or do you think that's too broad? That's too
If
too
I
crazy
may,
of an
you're
idea?
taking it to a literal definition. That's not what this is about.
Definitions are literal.
What's the definition of food?
Something that you eat to provide sustenance, but not every food is every food.
Cannibalism? That's food. Cannibals. I rest my case right there. We could be food very easily. Raviolis? Correct.
An interesting point. What if you can make the case because a lot of people heat their Pop-Tarts, and obviously you would heat up your ravioli. What about that?
Ravioli served with the sauce, with garlic, butter, white wine, or Alfredo sauce, or even a pesto. But you don't put pesto in your Pop-Tarts unless you're a freak, unless you're like this Cledus guy over
Hey,
here.
Dr. Goopert, I will not stand for you calling me a freak. Also, is icing not any of what you just said? A sauce? Icing is in fact a sauce.
So does the icing not?
And you're basically,
I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just trying to play
Sauce
devil's
is
advocate here.
you're on the right side, though. Yeah, we'll say.
Sauce is wet. Icing is dry. It is sitting atop the Pop-Tart in a dry state. That's not a sauce.
The sauce makes the ravioli.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
So
That means you lose, and I win.
So doctor, I know this is very polarizing. We got to keep going on this topic. This is life and death stuff right
Probably
here.
the most important.
It is
topic.
life and death.
So
My wife is probably.
So the thickness of the liquid on top of the Pop-Tart, that's the deal breaker for you is the thickness.
The viscosity.
Viscosity. Thank you, sir.
You don't use
What a
those
doctor.
big words like that. Yeah, doctor.
Viscosity is not a big word. You learn in 6th grade science.
I didn't
Which I'm
go
sure
to
you did.
sixth
Yeah,
grade.
exactly. I knew it.
I had to
Didn't go to-
farm, right? It's not about the viscosity or the whatever you call it. It's all about what you want it to be. It's all in the creative mind at that point, and that's how you get through the government's little eye hole right there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for turning in to this episode of The Turn, and we'll see you next time when we discuss. Is broccoli a toast?
What? No!
That's
broccoli
true.
is not
Ah!
toast!
Hey, now you're
Good
talking
night,
my
everybody.
language.
I can't believe you.
Absolutely a toast. You can have it or whatever.
Oh my God, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done in my whole life. Oh my God, you're such an idiot.